Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot and a member of the PMDG 737 tech team. Today we are going to do another flight with the PMDG 737-800, taking her in the Pegasus livery from Antalya to Düsseldorf. Now, Pegasus is slowly phasing their 737s out, so this is one of a rare bit of a sight here, but I absolutely do want to do a flight with it before they are completely gone. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into this. So, let's board our 737. Now, we do have the 189-seat cabin installed on this particular aircraft. And, well then, getting in here, let's first of all put our code to the side. Also put the flight kits in here. We can see our colleagues already taking a seat over here. So let's give her some armrests as well. And then we can also take a seat in our 737. Now, starting with a little bit of basics here. The battery comes on, ground power is coming on. We can do the fire test real quick. And that's looking fantastic. Then let's also do the squib test, which is looking good. So, going back to the overhead panel, emergency exit lights armed, attendant call button is tested, takeoff config warning is tested, park and brake set, cargo fire tested, transponder should absolutely be on 2000 and standby up here. So then, moving up to the overhead panel, voice recorder on, clacker 1, clacker 2, and flight recorder is also tested. IRS going into nav, and with that we've got the preliminaries completed over here. So while we're waiting for our instruments to power up, let's head down into the electronic flight bag. Request data from debrief, and here we go. Tango Charlie India Zulu Juliet is our aircraft of the day, and looking into our flight plan, we, as you can see, will have a bit of an interesting flight here. So, lots of low-level stuff on the level 100 chart. If we look at the high-level chart, we can see a little bit on our climb out from Antalya, but apart from that, it's beautiful weather all the way over to Düsseldorf. Now, checking the airport weather, Düsseldorf is showing us fine conditions, some showers of rain here, QNH 1004, but overall flyable and acceptable weather. Münster Osnabrück is actually very good, so our alternate is fine. And then an on-time departure at 0800 is going to lead to an arrival 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Flight level 360 is our cruising level, and with all of that in mind, 11.5 tons is the minimum fuel. Do we need any more? Yeah, probably for the transition. So let's take 12 tons, and then we should be good to go. So let's go weight and balance, load plane from debrief, precise loading, and we can go for 12 tons down here. And with that in mind, let's set up to debrief, to GSX. We are quickly going to do catering here, and as soon as our catering is completed, we can go ahead with our boarding. So, I just see one thing, that's the AOA indicator, that's not supposed to be here, so let's quickly get rid of that one. Here we go. And then let's get started. So we start in the data link, ATIS, and we are of course looking for our departure ATIS, which is Antalya, and we can send that one. While we're waiting for the ATIS to arrive, let's just go ahead and initiate our data link sequences here. So NavDB is up to date, correct aircraft is installed, GPS left position copied and pasted, and then we can do the flight plan request from debrief. Alright, waiting for all of that stuff to arrive, let's set up our ephysis on both sides, oxygen test is looking fantastic. Cool. So the route has arrived, then let's also quickly check our ATIS. So Antalya, airport information, Lima at 1920, runway 36 center and right, 340 at 7, visibility 10, few CBs in 2000, broken in 3000, temperature 11, QNH 1009. So 1009 is set once and twice. Alright, fantastic. Transition level 170. And that's it. So, back into here. Route has uplinked, so let's go ahead and enter the departure. Runway 36 center. And we're departing by the Agnot 1 Juliet. Which is this one. Now for the arrival, Düsseldorf 23 left. And probably Domux 23 transition down here. We'll see about that. Activate, and then let's continue on the performance initialization. Cost index 15, reserves 2.4, 0 fuel weight 62.1, flight level 360. Average wind 178 at 20. So top of climb ISA deviation -4. That means we got -60 degrees up there. And transition 15,001. For our takeoff, we are using noise abatement procedure number 2, and the runway might turn wet, so I am just going to select that. We got 250 knots below 10,000, and for the engine out, LTA... Oh, that's wrong. There we go, that's Antalya, and a 25-mile ring for MSA awareness. Okay, and that's it. So, looks like our catering is just finished, then let's go ahead and start our boarding. In the meantime, we'll start setting our airplane up over here. Should be a very quick setup. So, what do we have up here? Cruising in flight level 360, and Düsseldorf is in 150 feet. Right igniter is selected, flight directors are coming on, minus the master. Now let's see if we can find any information on our initial climb. Charts, departure, Antalya, airport. Airport chart. Which parking stands do we need? That's aprons 2 through 7. So this one here. Okay. So, and our sit is the Agnot 1 Juliet. So, Agnot Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Juliet. Here we go. So, let's see. Straight ahead, and well, 25 miles might be a little bit too far out. So, let's see what we can expect in terms of the engine outset. I'm using the website from Blackbox 711 in the background here. Let me show you that. So here it is, Blackbox. Then we're looking for Lima Tango Alpha India. And that airport is not into the database. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, then we just gotta make something up. So looking at this, we can easily proceed straight ahead to Alpha India 340, which is like 5 miles straight from Alpha Yankee Tango, and then back to the VOR. So let's go down here, fix Alpha Yankee Tango into that one, /5 miles, and then back to the VOR. And that's probably going to do. Alright, cool. So, initial climb, is there anything on here? No altitude, huh? Well, there are a couple of 11,000 feet restrictions on this, so I'm probably just going to dial that in, but we'll see what ATC is actually going to clear us to. Initial track 346. Like that, and we're also going to set that on the courses. Cool. So, light test. This time I am not forgetting about it. And that is looking fantastic. So QNH is already set, oil quantity is sufficient, hydraulics are also sufficient, perfect. Excellent, then down here everything is set, frequencies. So, Antalya ground, lots of them. Can we see anything as to which one is appropriate? Not really. Okay. In that case, I'm just going to tune 1985. And tower later on, so many of them as well. Let's tune 19.8. Okay, for the VORs, we did have Antalya VOR on our set chart, and that's on 14.0, so let's tune that one as well. 1140 and 1140. Transmit and receive VHF 1 and 2. Down here everything is set. Weather and turbulence selected. TCAS above. Transponder set. And you can get 1 to 1.5. Like that. 14.0 is already active. ACP is set. And the rest is set. Beautiful. Cool, then we're pretty much done setting everything up down here. Temperature is 11 degrees. Let's see about the cabin temperature, making sure it's not getting too cold for our guests. Right, look at that, 25, perfect. Alright, cool, so we're done with our setup down here, so let's go right into the departure briefing, please. So, threats for the departure, we've got high terrain on the extended center line. How are we going to mitigate against that? We will be using the terrain display on both sides here. Unless weather is an issue when we line up on the runway, then we'll use the weather radar and check that anyway. Okay, so let's go for the route check, please. We're going from Lima Tango Alpha India to Echo Delta Delta Lima, Papa Golf Tango 784 X-Ray. And our routing is via Ecknut 1 Juliet to Ecknut, Upper Quebec 26 Tutbu, direct Golf Romeo November, Tango 226 Navot, direct Sokdo, direct Mopuk, Vashti, Golf Yankee Romeo, Ditis, Rapet, Marzek, Ametu, Tango 852 Tinza, Tango 854 Domux arrival, and the ground distance 1441 versus 1404. The difference is because I got the transition in here. 4 tons remaining, 2.4 required, leaving us with plenty of extra fuel. Alright, time UTC 0745. The altimeter is showing 1009 at around 190 feet. The MFRA will be 1200. The flight directors are on, minus the master, and the standby instruments are set. It's a left seat takeoff, runway 36 center, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure 2, takeoff speeds to be determined, engine out sits straight at 5 miles Alpha Yankee Tango, right and turn back to the VOR, climbing 3000, pick up the hold, and from there we can come back. We will be overweight, so an immediate re-landing is not an option. Emergencies as discussed in the crew room, and the pushback is going to be with a nose to the left hand side. Pretty much a standard taxi out, down here Alpha 2, and then probably either Echo or Golf for a full-length runway 36 center departure. Our SID Ecknut 1 Juliet is on this chart 10-3 Bravo, effective 10th of July. Basically straight ahead, crossing waypoint 340 at 210 knots, which we got down here. And then we got waypoint 343 above 11,000, which we've got, and thereafter right hand, no, actually straight ahead, Exon and Ecknut. And that's what we got. Beautiful. No conventional backup for our departure, and that's all I have. Any questions? No? Superb. Then let's request our IFR clearance. So, ATIS is information Lima. So, Altai. ATIS Lima, and we're at stand 229. Let's say good morning and send that. Alrighty, so safety inspection checklist and before start checklist down to PA please. Services and shocks checked, maintenance status checked, batteries on, electric hydraulic pumps on, landing gear lever down, chips library checked, IRS mode selectors, nav gear pins, we got them 1, 2, 3 removed, light test checked, oxygen test 100%, yaw damper on, nav transfer and display switches normal and auto, fuel is 11.5 required, 12 on board, 6 pumps on, cabin utility IV galley power on, emergency exit lights on, fast modes on, window heat on, aircon and press, PAX auto bleeds on set, pressurization mode selector auto, instruments, cross checked, auto brake, RTO, hydraulics, normal, speed brake. Down detent, park and brake set, stop from cutout switches, normal, wheel fire warning checked, radius, radar and transponder, set and standby, rudder and aileron trims, 3 and 0, takeoff briefing discussed, holding at PA. So, departure request status being processed standby, and here's our clearance. So, clear to Düsseldorf, runway 36 center, ECNOT 1 Juliet, which is confirmed, maintain 4000, set, and departure 119.025. Here we go, and squawk 2452. Welcome. Cool, so that's all set. 4000 is the initial restriction, then let's just insert that over here. And that's it. Cool, so we've got that stuff done, then we're just waiting for the load sheet to arrive. How's the boarding going? Completed. Nice. Okay, so starting APU. And then let's see what we got. I'm just going to ensure the plane is loaded again, because GSX has that tendency to mess up your load. So 189 passengers on board, that means we are completely full, and we got a zero fuel weight of 62.2. Which is 100 more than planned, giving us 74.2 tons. And that's checked. Alright, so let's go for our performance. Antalya, runway 36 center, full length available. We'll use the weight and the weather from the sim and calculate. 1009 is in there. So takeoff 1, 32 degrees. And that's 92.5% N1. Yep. And flaps 5. CG is 23.9, and that's takeoff speeds 148, 149, 154. Like that, and that gives me 154 up here. Set. Okay, trim 5.3 units, and that's it. So then we can close the door. Ground from flight deck. Hello, please confirm that all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed. Okay, thank you very much. So please prepare us for pushback and departure, and we'll call ATC for the clearance. Roger. Okay, before start checklist below the line. No, sorry, actually complete the checklist to the line, please. Why is that door still open? Release the ground power and remove the chocks. And I think I just heard the door close as well. Yes, I did. Okay, nice. Then let's complete the checklist, please. So, FMC CDU set, N1 and IS bucks, automatic reduced 24K, speeds 48, 50, 54 set, stop trim 5.3 sets, performance weight and balance sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flutter windows and cockpit door, locked, doors closed, passengers seated, before start checklist complete. Alright, then let's call for our pushback clearance. Antalya ground, Sunturk 784 X-ray, request pushback and startup.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, pushback and startup approved. Phase west.
Pushback and startup approved, phase west, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Okay, so facing west is probably nose left over here. Oh no, probably face south. I don't care. And my microphone just dropped. Give me a second here. That's interesting. I do apologize if you heard a loud noise or something. So, pushback and startup are approved. Before start checklist below the line. Air complex off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, and transponder alt off. Before start checklist complete. Ground from flight deck, pushback and startup approved. Parking brake is released. And we're standing by for your clearance to start the engines. Roger that. And here we go. So, bye-bye Antalya, hello Düsseldorf. I just love how the AI can't pronounce Düsseldorf correctly. Okay, so we'll be starting engines 2 and 1 in that sequence. You let us know when we can start 2, please. Roger. And you're clear to start 2. Starting 2. Engine 2 start. And 2. Oil pressure in 1. See that shower in the mountains back there? That's exactly what we're taking off into. Looks like we will be using the weather radar after all. Okay, start a cutout, monitor 2, starting 1. And flight at ground, the pushback is completed, set brakes please. Parking brake set. And 2. Oil pressure, and 1. If you have 2 good engine starts, please prepare the airplane for taxi. See you with a clear signal on the right hand side and have a good day. Bye bye. Start a cutout, monitor 1, 1 stable. So, flight controls. Full up. Full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. There's the ramp agent, he is holding the pin, then we can do the rudder as well. Full left, full right, neutral. Before taxi checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switch is continuous, Pro beat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto, bleeds on, isolation mode, auto, flaps, 5 required, 5 selected, green light, step trim, 5.5 units set. Start levers idle detent, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete. Sunturk 784 X-ray, request taxi. Alright, and there goes the ramp agent. An A330 or an A350? That's an A350, huh?
84 X-ray, runway 36 center taxi, via Alpha 2, Echo 4, Golf 10.
Center 784 X-ray, taxi to runway 36 center via Alpha 2, Echo 4, Golf 10. Okay, so down here, Alpha 2, Echo 4, Golf 10. That's as expected. Clear right side, clear left side, park and brake released, config. Heavy aircraft, so let's actually go up to 40% N1 here. So, clear left and right. Now the challenge is to find the correct taxiway, but I think it's that solid line in front there. And the right side is clear. Alright, so the apron is clear. Corendon, also an airline that we might have to fly sometime in the future. It's incredible how many Turkish airlines are using the Boeing 737 still. Even though Pegasus is about to phase them out, there are still so many of them that use them. From Turkish Airlines over to Corendon, over to the last couple of Pegasus, over to Anadolu Jet, or A-Jet as they're called nowadays. There's really many of them. Okay, the right side is clear. The left side is clear. That 737 is going somewhere but not to the runway. That is good for us. So left onto Golf. Default takeoff checklist to the line, please. Config. Checked. Flaps 5, green light. Stub trim 5.5. Set. Takeoff briefing. Left seat takeoff runway 36 center. PAX auto bleeds on, anti-ice off. Takeoff speeds 148, 150, 154. The sit straight ahead. Couple of altitude restrictions. Initial speed restriction to 10, and all that means we can probably still retract the flaps into position 1, but not into position up until we've actually cleared that. Apart from that, nothing special, nothing non-standard. Engine outside straight at 5 miles from Antalya, right hand turn back to the VOR, climbing 3000. For the time being, the weather at the field is fine, even though the showers are somewhat moving in. The threat for today's departure is the combination of the weather and the terrain. So how are we going to mitigate against that? Basically, we'll be using the weather radar on my side and the terrain display on your side, and if we have to ask for avoidance settings, then we'll just have to coordinate that well with air traffic control. And we also have to have a good look at the terrain display to ensure that we don't run into anything that we are not supposed to run into. I know. German first officer. Okay, let's not get started on that. So, yeah, that's the big threat we got for today's departure. Any questions or suggestions? No? Alrighty. Cabin secured, before takeoff checklist complete, down to the line.
Asus 784 X-ray, contact tower 111.8, safe flight.
119.8, Samturk 784 X-ray. Antalya Tower, Sunturk 784 X-ray, ready for departure. So, Golf 10, 36 center, that's the correct holding point. And then we need departure on 119025.
784 X-ray, Antalya Tower, runway 360, winds 270, at 5, clear for takeoff.
Runway 36 center, cleared for takeoff, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Before takeoff checklist below the line, MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. Alright, let's quickly line up over here and have a look at the weather radar.
On runway 36 center.
Nothing. Certainly doesn't look like it, but if there's nothing within 20 miles, then we have sufficient options. Okay, ready? Then let's go. Timing. Now just look how engine number 2 spools different from number 1. Stabilized, set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. Checked. You're up. LNF, VNAF. Flaps 1. 119, decimal 025, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Antalya departure, Sunturk 784 X-ray, passing 1,800, climbing 4,000. Though this is strange, we can see the precipitation is straight in front of us, but there's nothing on the radar. Climb by our set, altitude 11,000, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Set, 11,000 checked. Alternate event. Oh, look at that! Suddenly there is some weather. But it's all green, nothing to worry about. Oh, and now it's all yellow. Nothing to worry about. Command A, 128.75, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Flaps up. Speed check, flaps up. Anchor bar control, good morning, Sunturk 784 X-ray, passing 4,400, climbing 11,000. So, flaps up no lights, we remain on the altimeter, and after takeoff checklist.
784 X-ray, anchor control identified. Good afternoon, Antalya, QNH 1009.
QNH 1009, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Alright, so after takeoff checklist, air condition and pressurization, 2.7 climbing, and well, that's not set ideally there, that's getting a little bit too warm. Let's Let's do it that way, AUT. Okay, and set, and altimeters to go. Alright, I think we're out of the worst part here. Let's release that cabin crew. Alright, so we're out of the weather, and in terms of the terrain, that shouldn't be much of an issue any longer. The left side is already mostly clear, so if we have to stop the climb for whatever reason, then we can do that now. Okay, nice. So let's ask the important question. No longer need that taxi stuff. 1127. 1150. And that still includes the entire transition. Very nice. Optimum 359, so 360 as cruise is perfect. 3.5 remaining. 2.4 required. 25 minutes on top. Excellent. That's what we are looking for. 1000 to go. Altimeters. Passing 10, climbing 11, 10 tracks. Fuel balance, 6 pumps on. Lights off, APU off, air cannon press, 4.0 climbing set. Fasten belts remain on until we are through the clouds. Recall checked and monitoring 1 to 1.5. Climbing flight level 280, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Set, 280 checked. Okay, so let's log on to data link. Lima Tango Alpha Victor. And set. Great. Well then, I think we've done pretty much everything we could do. We still have to set the altimeter to standard, but we're cleared above the transition now, so let's just do it now. Set standard. Standard cross check passing flight level 119. Checked. That's the after takeoff checklist complete. Well done guys. I'd say sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us, and then I see you all when we start the approach into Düsseldorf. Descending to flight level 100, and with that we can start our final approach preparation. The fasten seatbelt signs have just been turned on, and well, we are expecting the ILS approach runway 23 left, just as we had already expected. Looking down into the FMC then, here's our ATIS. So Düsseldorf information, Tango, runways 23 left and right, wind 210 at 14. Skies broken at 2200, temperature 10, QNH 1004. So pretty easy going. We've just gotten another ATC call, contact approach 128655. Tango. London radar, Sunturk 784, X-ray information, Tango, passing level 128, descending level 100. Engine on TS on.
Approach identified. Good afternoon, cleared Douglas Charles 23 transition. Expect the ILS runway 23 left approach into Düsseldorf.
Cleared Domux 23 transition, expect ILS 23 left, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Okay, that's what we are about to do. And what we've been expecting anyway. So, approaching, then let's start to slow down a bit here. So, speed 250, vertical speed 1000. And then we can start with the approach briefing, please. Threats for the arrival, honestly, none. So, 250 below 100, forecast is in, fixed rings 23 left, 10 miles, 4 miles. Domux 23 transition leading us into a downwind and then eventually vectors onto the final. I've added Delta Lima 455 because that is the point where ATC often sends you to. And we can remove that discontinuity down there. So, approach starts at Mad 3000 and we can insert a 180 knot restriction at that one. 3 degree glide slope down to the minimum of 338, go around straight at 3 degree Düsseldorf, then a right hand turn 307 onto a passing radial 277, max 230 knots, right back to the station climbing 4000. We are now burning 500 kilos and that's a landing weight of 65.7. Let's actually calculate with 66. And a flap 40 approach because the runway isn't the very longest runway and I do want to be able to vacate on Lima 7. So flaps 40, auto brakes 3 for the approach gives us about 1600 meters. 3,500 kilos on arrival, just like the airplane had predicted. 2,400 are needed, that gives us an easy half an hour extra. Alright, vacate the runway to the left. Charlie 6 is our expected gate, so taxi is more or less just straight ahead. Any questions? No? Okay. So, let's get down towards 220 knots already. And then let's do the 10 tracks. The fuel is balanced and we got 4 pumps on, lights on, angular bank 25, air cannon press 3.6 descending set, fast modes on, recall checked 1 to 1.5 deselected, and then we can lock off CPDLC. So, lock on status, terminate data link. Thank you.
Engine full Bravo, Tango contact. Alien radar, 1135, decimal 35. 135, decimal 35 for Aegean 4 Bravo Tango. Good day.
Sunturk 784 X-ray. Can we expect any shortcut? Roger. I am sure that that is going to change eventually, but for the time being we'll continue on the transition. Okay, let's quickly say goodbye to our passengers as well then. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We are starting our approach to Düsseldorf. The remaining flight time is now... we are following the Domux 23 transition, Sunturk 784 X-ray. That current came a little bit late, don't you think? Ladies and gentlemen, we have just started our descent towards Düsseldorf and the remaining flight time is about 10 minutes. Right heading 290, descending 5,000 feet, vectors ILS 23 left, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Okay, perfect. So, set QNH. QNH 1004 cross check, passing 9,400 now. And then we can take Delta Lima 455 on top. Like that. Perfect. Drag required after Matma, that's known. Speed 250 in the box. And here we go. Slightly high. Nothing that we couldn't correct with a speed brake. What did I tell you? We did get the shortcut. No. I don't think so. Okay, frisk check. Frequencies 109.9, set 3 times. Fixed rings runway 23 left, 10 miles, 4 miles. Items, ILS Düsseldorf Southwest, which we got 2 and 3 times. Standby instruments, set and the courses 230. Speed 210, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Okay, we'll do slightly more so that we got the up speed 212. Okay. Approach checklist. Ultimate is no instruments, set cross check, approach rates, checked and set. The approach checklist complete. Flaps 1. Just going for that bit of additional drag here. And then we can also fly 210 exactly. Let's update that direct real quick. 600 above the path, that's fine. To go. So the final heading would be nice.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, turn left heading 260.
Left heading 260, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Oh, that is actually pretty good heading. Sunturk 784 X-ray, are we cleared for the ILS? Start slowing down a bit. Well, I'll intercept it myself. Warlock captured. Runway heading 230. And Glasslock captured. Go around altitude 4000 set. Flaps 5. Sunturk 784 X-ray, established ILS 23 left.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, turn left heading 215.
No.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, 3 miles from Charlie Foxtrot 23 Lima, turn left heading 220, descend altitude 3000 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 23 left approach.
That was a very American clearance. Cleared ILS 23 left, Sunturk 784 X-ray. And that was a very European way of reading it back. Alright, we're established. Something's... I was just about to say, something's wrong with the weather radar here.
Cleared for the ILS runway 23 left approach.
Yeah, you've said that already.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, contact Düsseldorf Tower on 118.305.
118.305, Sunturk 784 X-ray, bye-bye. Düsseldorf Tower, Sunturk 784 X-ray, established ILS 23 left. 39 knots headwind. No surprises that we actually need a little bit of thrust to maintain our speed.
Center 784 X-ray, Düsseldorf Tower Point, identified ILS 23 left approach. Continue approach.
That's what we're doing. Okay, so start switches are in continuous already, and the speed brakes aren't. I don't know what it is with the weather radar. Something definitely seems wrong there. I suppose something Asobo related?
Airspeed low.
Huh. Interesting what type of turbulence Asobo is inserting here. So, here's a nice little effect. We're on the glide slope. We are passing the final approach fix. You can see how we were like 100 to 150 feet high. That's because of the temperature difference. That's because the temperature is colder than ICAO standard.
X-ray, Düsseldorf Tower, winds 110. Runway 23 left, cleared to land.
Runway 23 left, clear to land. Center 784 X-ray. Okay, so, established. Now let's see if we're eventually going to see something when we get out of the clouds. Until that time, I will leave the autopilot engaged for the time being. Then we can always take over if required. The ceiling was forecast at 2200, I believe. Field elevation is 150, so we should be getting out of the clouds any moment. But yeah, we can actually see the ground already. So we'll probably need this. Yep, we are out of the clouds. Good. Nonetheless, visibility isn't exactly great, so we'll configure at 5 miles. And then let's have some fun. Okay, gear down, flaps 15. And landing checklist to flaps. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked, speed brake, arm green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake 3 set, flaps 25, speed checked, flaps 25.
Düsseldorf Tower, 2-Jet 9er, Foxtrot Yankee, established
Flaps
on
40.
the runway 23 right.
Speed checked, flaps 40.
1000.
Checked. So complete the landing checklist. Flaps 40, 40, green light, landing lights on. Landing checklist complete. That shower is rather ill-located over there. Man, we need a lot of thrust here.
Approaching 23 left.
Checked. So about 0 degrees pitch. Then let's see if we can get the approach lights inside on time. Wipers on. Okay, Poppy's in sight.
Approaching minimums.
Checked.
Airspeed low.
What the hell?
Airspeed
Okay,
low.
windshield, toga. Look at that, I'm pushing fully forward and I can barely gain control of the plane here. That is fun. Okay, I think we're out of wind shear. Positive climb, gear up. And flaps 15. So, go around flaps. Sunturk 784 X-ray going around. Alright, flaps 1. Well, that was flaps 5 first, and now flaps 1.
Subject 784 X-ray, execute missed approach procedure. Contact approach on 128.655.
And flaps up, buck up. Stand by. Auto throttle on.
784 X-ray, never acknowledged.
Never acknowledge your standby, dear ATC. Okay. Command A, and after takeoff checklist. So, air cannon press, 2.2, maintaining and set. And that's it. After takeoff, altimeter, QNH 1004, maintaining 4000. After takeoff checklist complete. Long radar, Sunturk 784 X-ray on the missed approach. Oh man, that was quite the wind shear.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, you're kidding. Execute missed approach. Give me a minute.
Yeah, that's what we are doing, my friends. Okay, well, that was unexpected. Was just about to say we see the runway when the wind shear really struck us, and you could see how much problems I had to control the aircraft there. I was basically on full forward control column, and I could barely arrest the nose shooting up.
X-ray, turn right heading 045 vectors for the ILS runway 23 left approach.
Turning right heading 045 vectors, ILS 23 left, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Alright, so let's quickly talk to the passengers, because that would have been a frightening experience. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. As you have noticed, we hit some rather turbulent weather and abandoned our landing attempt in Düsseldorf. Now, we have executed a go-around and we are now flying back for a second approach once the weather has passed. Thank you very much for your understanding, and we expect to be on the ground in Düsseldorf within the next 10 minutes. Okay, so those gentlemen are covered. Then let's go ahead and see what we've got. There's nothing in here, so Düsseldorf, ILS 23 left, execute, and you can give me an extended center line here, 230, execute. Good, so fuel to burn 200, that gives us a landing weight of 65.3, and flaps 40 once again, auto brake 3. Is still good. In terms of fuel, 3.1 is our landing fuel versus 2.4. That still gives us one more go around until we have to divert. Just in case we do have to divert though, because the weather really isn't all that good here. Let's get a couple airports. We got Cologne and we'll also get Münster. Okay. So let's see what we got. Münster Osnabrück, information Romeo, runway 25, wind 195 at 7, visibility 10, sky broken at 14, temperature 9, QNH 1003. Okay, that's easy going over there in Münster. And Cologne, which is of course closer, has runway 6 and 13 left, 170 at 6, visibility 10, fuel at 12, broken at 43. Temperature 9. Okay, both are good. Insufficient fuel, we'll disregard that for now. Okay, so both of them are actually good. We could land in both airports. So then, of course, Cologne is the closer option. Right heading 085, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Heading 085. Alright, cool. So for a quick rebriefing for the approach, it's going to be another ILS, runway 23 left. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so it's going to be another ILS approach, runway 23 left, flaps 40, and we will be using maximum reverse. The runway is probably going to be wet. Sunturk 784 X-ray, request descending altitude 3000. Otherwise this is not going to work out, because that heading is a little bit tight there. Flaps 1.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, descend altitude 3,000 feet.
Descending altitude 3000, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Set, 3000 checked, level change. And I will start slowing down already, because it feels like this is going to be tight. Very tight.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, 4 miles from Charlie Foxtrot 23 Lima. Maintain heading 090, cleared for the ILS runway 23
That's 5.
left approach.
Yeah, that heading doesn't work. Cleared ILS 23 left, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'll just make a slight left turn, 050, and then I'll give myself a right-hand turn to intercept the final. But we gotta be very slow for that. Okay. So let's do it this way. Heading 200. And this should probably work. I mean, we are going to overshoot, so make that heading 260 already to intercept. Then we should be fine. Okay, cool. So, any questions for the briefing? No? Wonderful. Then, descent checklist, pressurization, land out 150, NEIS on, approach being fuel disgusting, ISR box checked and set. Approach checklist, well, frisk first, even though there's nothing changed. 109.9, active, nav 12. Fix rings, runway 23 left, 10 miles, and I'll turn that into a 5-mile ring. Items, ILS Düsseldorf southwest on all sides. Stamp instruments set, courses 230, approach checklist. Altimeter instruments, set cross checked, approach rates checked and set, approach checklist complete. Alright, so let's give ourselves a direct to Metna over here. And look at that, that's pretty much where that heading gets us. 118.305, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Düsseldorf Tower, Sunturk 784 X-ray, ILS 23 left. Almost established. Alright, so, straight to Metna. Everything is armed, so that looks okay.
784 X-ray, Düsseldorf Tower, point identified, continue approach runway 23 left.
Continue 23 left, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Warner captured. Runway heading 230, glass up captured. Go around altitude 4000 cents. Nice.
Sunturk 784 X-ray, winds 150 at 11, runway 23 left, cleared to land.
Airspeed low.
Runway 23 left, clear to land, Sunturk 784 X-ray. Okay. You can already see how we've got a couple of up and down drafts here again. Definitely making it interesting. So now the question is that weather once again going to be directly above the airport, so that we might actually not be able to land, or is that going to be, you know, somewhere nicer? The weather radar seems pretty much inoperative over here, so let's go over to terrain. Not sure what it is with the weather radar. Antalya is on above 10, disregard wheel, keep it on. Okay, I think I can actually see the runways down there. That's good. Fuel now 3.1, so we'll probably burn another 100 kilos for the landing. That's fine. Alright, gear down, flaps 15. landing checklist, start switches, continuous, recall, check, speed brake, arm, green light, landing gear down 3 green, out brake 3 set, flaps 25, speed checked, flaps 25, flaps 40, speed check, flaps 40,
1,000.
checked, we are VMC now. So complete the checklist, flaps 40, 40, green light, landing lights on, landing checklist completed, crew seated, and we are clear to land. Alright, before the autopilot is screwing this up, let's take over. I did honestly not expect having to work that much for my money today.
Approaching 2, 3 left.
Checked. .500 continue. So, a couple showers here, but nothing like totally bad.
Approaching
Light flow is checked, correcting.
minimums.
Continue. Ooh, what is this? Man, the weather is playing it hard on us today.
50,
Visual.
30, 20, 10.
Speed brake up. Thrust is normal. 80%. 100 knots.
1,500
80 knots.
meters remaining.
Manual brakes. Looks like we confused our cabin crew.
200 remaining.
Alright, 60 knots. And here we are. Man, that was an interesting one. That was a really interesting one. Look at how contaminated the runway is. We can barely even see the taxi lines.
Contact 784 X-ray. Contact the ground on 121.60.
121.605, Samtug 784 X-ray. Düsseldorf ground, Samtug 784 X-ray, request taxi to the gate. Lima 6, Mike Papa 4, Yankee, gate Charlie 6, Samtug 784 X-ray. Alright, to the right, to the left, and then all the way to the gates. Man, we worked for our money today. Tell you what, I'm gonna leave the start switches on. Okay. That was an interesting one. That was a really interesting one. I did absolutely not expect the weather to be that bad. And I'm afraid we'll have to ride the weather radar up, because number one, we did not get a wind shear caution, and we probably should have gotten one. And number two, the thing did not indicate us any of those cells. I'm really not sure what Asobo is doing with that radar, but I told you more than once already that it's useless anyway. Okay. Man, that was really an interesting one. I'm kidding you not. I've already been taking a shower in cruise because I thought I could go to bed after recording this, but I might probably actually have to take a second one. Alright, so let's see if we can get some parking guidance. Charlie 6 is on the other end side. Charlie Pier, Charlie 6, no follow me needed. Handling by Avia partner. So, all the way down here, Papa 4 Yankee into Charlie 6. By the way, now that... Oh, hello, mashallah. Now that we got a little bit of time and now that we're finally safely on the ground, and that I'm just thinking back to the actual WINDSHEAR, did you notice how I said WINDSHEAR toga? That's the Airbus memory callout. That's the callout for the memory items. Yep, so I suppose it's good to see that... even though I'm flying a virtual 737 over here, the Airbus procedures are sticking so deeply in me now that I'm actually still doing the correct call under pressure. That's kinda a good sign, because it means that if it ever happens in the real world, chances are I might be able to do it as well. Which is one of those interesting items, you know? You're never really 100% sure that you will be able to work under pressure until you actually get into such a situation. And obviously Flight Sim doesn't replace real life here, but, you know, it's an indication into the right direction at least. You can see I'm not doing single engine taxi here, even though time-wise we could, but with this type of weather, not worth it. Okay, so... can't read anything. Oh, stop already. Interesting. Okay. So, APU is almost available, then we can already shut down number 2. And the start switches are going back to off as well now. And here's the APU. 2 blue, 1 red, engines dead. Cabin crew, all doors in park. We've made it. Man. I tell you honestly, I was already thinking if I had the scenery for Münster installed or not. So, both engines below 20. So, transit shutdown checklist please. Electrical, it's on the APU, fast mode's off. Propeat off, anti-ice off, air compacts auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off, exterior light steady, start switches off, auto brake off, speed brake down to 10, flaps up and light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CB in, cockpit door about to be unlocked, and that's the shutdown checklist complete. So let's go and request our deboarding. That's in progress now, and we are here at 11:43. Schedule, I believe, 11:50. So even with a missed approach, we are still on time. Now, isn't that fantastic? Well, let's go ahead and set the chocks, please. Then we can also request the ground power unit. And here we go. APU is coming off, and with that we now got a door open so we can actually unlock the flight deck door as well. Cool! So that's it, my friends. Welcome to Düsseldorf. Leave your comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again right on the next one.